Hey guys, this is Sail the Plains, and I liked doing the review last time, so I think I'm going to do another one, but this time we're going to do a show that I really enjoy. It's called Gravity Falls. Among all the terrible pieces of crap that Disney produces, you know, from the stupid teeny bopper brats like Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus, to the terrible Disney sequels of their famous films, you know, Ariel, Cinderella, Peter Pan, and so on. Every once in a while, Disney will suddenly come out of nowhere with something like so awesome, you have to wonder where the heck they keep these guys. Such is the case with Gravity Falls. Shows like this are pretty special, and they only come out, you know, every few years, every once in a while. Some other examples were, you know, Invader Zim, Avatar: The Last Airbender, even My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. Shows that surprise us and are surprisingly well written, and it ends up pulling in like an adult audience. The show was recommended to me by a good friend, and so after some badgering, I finally decided to watch it with her. We're both in our 20s, okay, and I always hesitate to sit down for a cartoon, especially something from the Disney Channel. I basically always assume the worst, but I was surprised, you know, pleasantly so. You know, this was a callback to everything that I've come to love and respect about animation. Smart dialogue, hilarious in-jokes, you know, things for the adults to catch. Like, when I was a kid and I watched the old Bugs Bunny, and my dad would laugh at things, and I never understood why until I got older, and then I watched them again, and I was like, oh, that's what he was laughing at. You know, Gravity Falls is like this. And the show itself is centered around a set of fraternal twins, Mabel and Dipper. They're 12 years old and are sent by their parents to hang out in Gravity Falls for the summer with their great-uncle, Stanford Pines. Dipper finds a strange book out in the woods with a six-fingered hand on it on the cover, with the number 3. Dipper, in the same vein as Invader Zim's Dib, is obsessed with mysteries, though not to the excess of violence like Dib is. Mabel is less interested, mostly in that the twins have very different personalities. Dipper is the A-type, Mabel is the B-type. So Dipper takes the book, and it leads him to embark on several misadventures with Mabel. The first handful of episodes are dedicated mostly to character establishment and world structuring. Dipper is the junior detective. He wants to investigate and read, and he's interested, although this interest sometimes makes him pretty arrogant and kind of cocky, thinking he knows what's up when he really doesn't. It can also be a primary point of contention between himself and his twin sister Mabel, because sometimes he can be kind of condescending towards her, and sometimes he can be actually pretty mean. Mabel is almost exactly the opposite. To his pragmatism, she is the wild card, goofy, adorable, random, and sometimes a bit deranged. Mabel goes through every episode with a new sweater, adopts a pet pig, and is in surprising cahoots with Seuss and Grunkle Stan. If anyone thinks like Stan thinks, it's Mabel. Mabel also knows that Dipper relishes being able to figure things out, and when he beats her in things, he gloats over, he like lords it over her. So she uses her goofiness as her primary weapon against him, and she loves to frustrate him and trick him and get her own back when he brags about being so smart. Because while these two definitely love each other and they're devoted to each other, they're still siblings. I have a twin brother. I know exactly how this is. When I watch these two, I'm like, yup. They still fight and argue and try to get back at each other, and it humanizes them, you know, it makes them real characters. I love them for that. Uncle Stan runs the Mystery Shack. It's a tourist trap, and he's very open about this. He has 2 employees there. One is Wendy Corduroy. She is the daughter of Manly Dan. Wendy is a teenager. She's a little sardonic. She's funny. She does her job, but doesn't mind coming up with clever ways to get out of doing work either. She has her own set of friends, but she's still genuinely nice to the twins and really wants to be their friend. Dipper has this like wild crush on her, though this subplot has taken a back seat, which I think that's probably for the best because it's kind of awkward. The other employee is Seuss. It's difficult to tell how old he is. He appears to be some kind of handyman around the shop. Occasionally he runs the gift shop, but usually he's out making up attractions with Stan or fixing things. He's like a giant child stuck in a man's body. He's a little bit simple, appears not to be too bright. And Seuss has this innate ability to get everyone into trouble, but also to help them get out of it. He becomes thick as thieves with Dipper and Mabel. Now with Dipper, he loves to go adventuring, and with Mabel, he loves to come up with pranks. So Seuss interacts with Wendy actually very little, and actually Mabel's the same. Mabel interacts directly with Wendy very little, which I actually never noticed until right now, that neither of them do. There's another kid in the show whose name is Gideon. He's kind of the reoccurring villain. He's really aggravating, but he's actually pretty important, and you know, there's a couple reasons that I mentioned him specifically. The first one is that he has a book just like Dipper does, only Gideon's is number 2 while Dipper's is number 3. And there's no idea, you know, if there even is a number 1 or if there's more than 3 books. Gideon is also, like, he's insane. He's completely nuts. And whenever they show him at home, watch his mom in the background. She is the saddest character I have ever seen. I feel so bad for her. And 3, and this was the best one, Gideon is very obviously a parody of every televangelist I've ever seen, and as soon as I saw him and realized what they'd done, I freaking died laughing. I laughed so hard when I realized, just, you know, his hair, the suit, the little America pin. Oh yeah, like, I mean, just, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go on YouTube and look up televangelists and just, like, see what I'm talking about. Now, I've saved Grunkle Stan for last because he has really become my favorite character. At first, he seems like a grumpy old man who's kind of unaware of the strange things that happened around Gravity Falls. But when they get out of establishing the younger characters in the first, like, 10 to 12 episodes, then they begin to focus a little more on Stan. And as the adventures stop being just centered around Dipper and Mabel, and they start to include Seuss, Wendy, and Stan in varying intervals, we begin to see a little more about their great uncle. He is a character that I love to watch, and thus far, he is the most mysterious. Stan's dialogue is hilarious, and always, like, he's the one that will include things that kids miss, and adults will, like, double take and stop. Like, the first time that Stan mentions he did time in a Colombian prison, I stopped and, like, pulled back, and I was like, what? And then, you know, of course, I burst out laughing. It's these small details, or when he gets stuck watching The Duchess Approves on the boring old lady movie channel, and the Duchess defies the Queen, and Stan suddenly cries, "It's like my life!" in a way. Or when he and the kids are watching a man being menaced by carnivores and he suddenly says, "Is this all there is to life, just waiting for the sweet embrace of death?" And, you know, the kids kind of are like, what? There's something kind of going on with Stan, and not to mention that strange tattoo on his right shoulder. We catch glimpses of it when Stan is in his white tank top, and in episode 19, when Bill Cipher is told the name Stan for Pines, the demon recalls Stan's face, and then immediately after, Stan's tattoo. So Stan is kind of not what he seems, but we already knew that, because something else the show does is put mysteries in it for the audience. Now, this show is centered around mysteries, but the end credits will occasionally contain ciphers, encoded messages, and the opening credits do too. It really didn't take long for the internet to notice that the wheel shown in the beginning, with the little pictures and then Bill Cipher in the middle, each image was correlating to a particular episode, culminating with the appearance of Bill Cipher. If you watch the backgrounds also, you can sometimes notice various items that seem to reference something else. Not only with ciphers, but there is Norse script, there's Egyptian symbolism, of course. Though this is the Mystery Shack, so anything in it can potentially be a red herring, so you have to kind of take the, like, 1 trillion videos on YouTube with a grain of salt. Stan has a strange tattoo, a dodgy past, and some secret rooms that he feigns ignorance to, and he sometimes sneaks off to a room and he's hidden behind a vending machine. But otherwise, no one actually knows if he's a vampire, werewolf, alien, writer of the books, only 2 of which we've seen, or anything else. He could just be like a secretive old man, though that seems unlikely. Anyway, if you liked Invader Zim, Avatar: The Last Airbender, dark humor, then this show is for you. I would even say that if you liked Daria, if any of you remember that, you would like this show. Sardonic sarcasm levels hit high, and I love it when they show their television shows like Baby Fights and Duck Detective. It's like the Disney version of Six Sad World. There's enough silly for the kids, sarcasm for adults, and then mysteries for you to figure out to keep anyone entertained. This is the first real thing of substance I've seen on Disney Channel in a very, very long time, and so definitely give it a whirl. According to Wikipedia, the next episode should be the season finale, so marathon it before you tune in. You know, I wasn't disappointed, and hopefully you won't be either. So have a good rest of your day, and don't break anything. Bye.